So my topic is 90s music. Now, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, Damon and I. Now, Damon and I are both musicians, and we're really into music, and we both have a soft spot for the 80s, but we also have a very soft spot for the 90s. And I was remarking that with 90s music, the fact that that's in vogue now, and people are like, oh, I love the 90s. I'm like, wasn't the 90s like 2 days ago? And then I start to be like, I'm old. I'm really old now. It's 2014. It's almost 2015. The 90s were 15 years ago.
End of the 90s.
Yeah, the end of the 90s.
So it's like the 90s are 20 years ago.
Like
really.
the presidents of the United States and all that. That was
some
20 years ago.
Stuff happened at the end of the 90s, man. I mean, you're talking like Clueless was late 90s.
Yeah. No way.
No, Clueless was 95.
That's like, that's straight up mid-90s.
Okay, well, Can't Hardly Wait was like 98.
Yeah, that was 98.
Pokemon was in the 90s.
Pokemon was
95, 96.
That's
You're talking about the movie.
Pokemon?
Which one are you talking about? The game didn't come out in 98.
Yeah.
It came out
America,
here in 98.
Oh, really? I just thought it was earlier than that. Sorry.
November 98.
So, like, what are your... Like, I guess I just want to talk about... Because I really love 90s alt-rock and, like, you know, obviously rap rock and all that kind of stuff. But I just feel like with a lot of different genres, there's good stuff happening. Hip-hop, like, a lot of really excellent stuff. So, like, what are your remembrances of 90s music, and what are some of your favorite bands and songs? Maybe some of your least favorite band songs. I also think some of the worst music comes from the 90s, i.e. the Macarena or something like that.
Sure.
Was Linkin Park... I'm pretty sure they're 2000.
Hybrid Theory was 2000.
Oh, man.
But
so close.
Limp Bizkit was coming up in 311.
Yeah.
That was all 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Significant Other.
When was Oasis?
That's the 90s for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. They were great.
I'm a fan of the 90s.
Oh, man.
90s had like the...
Wonderwall, that was such a song.
I think that people don't remember the 90s as fun. Like, people in our generation, Tim, because you were like 40 years behind us. I don't think when you start thinking back on it, like on a first glance, I'm like, the 90s was not the best decade I've lived through. The 80s was awesome. Yes. So much cool stuff happened in the 80s. Like, you know, TV started reigning supreme. All this stuff happened. Big blockbuster movies, they have and all that stuff. Like, you think the 90s was like a dry spell, kind of. And then you start really digging into it, and there was like a lot of great stuff that happened in the 90s.
For sure.
A lot of great stuff.
For sure.
Let's dig into that.
The 90s is amazing.
Let's unpack it.
Can
we unpack that?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely.
First of all, Colin, like, it's no secret who your favorite band is.
Yeah, 311's my favorite.
311.
And they come. I mean, so they. I mean, they were.
We have to sing a 311 song every time Colin says it.
They were.
I don't know any, so I just say this.
Beautiful Disaster.
Beautiful Disaster.
I don't even know that one.
No, it does.
Transistor, track 4. So they were technically founded in 1988, but like they are a 90s band for sure.
I just like that they're a career band. Like, they're still going today. Like, they've made, like, this is their
same
career.
lineup.
They have their niche. They have their thing they do. Like,
they tour twice a year, like every year. Like, they sell out those tours.
Yeah, I remember seeing them. They came to Irvine in like 2002, and I was like, damn, they are still going? Because at that point, I thought they were kind of long in the tooth, but I guess they're still...
Yeah, they're
like,
still
what are they, like 70 now?
Not many bands
they're like
last
in their
25 years.
Yeah, they're like in their mid-40s. I mean, their guitarist joined... Like, replaced their other guitarist in like 1989, and they've been in the same.
I thought you were gonna say their guitarist replaced his hip.
I just love that they're the same lineup, because it's not the same. It's like Alice in Chains like toured for a while. Let's talk about 90s bands. I mean, Alice in Chains is awesome, but like Lane Staley died, and then they just replaced the singer. Now Jerry Cantrell can sing, and actually, like, a lot of people don't realize that in a lot of their famous songs he is singing. Like in Rooster,
he sings harmonies.
Yeah. Well, like, I'll be broken by my master. That's him.
Yeah.
Like, that's him singing. That's like one of the most iconic parts of anyone.
Isn't that Wood? Isn't that off the Singles soundtrack?
Oh, man.
Speaking of a 90s movie.
See, damn.
It's so, yeah. It's
Singles, another great film.
Like, so I always like, they kind of got away with, like, that's always weird, but I like a band that tours, or it's like, I saw Journey a few years ago, and they're awesome, and the singer sounds just like
the new singer.
Like Perry, Steve Perry, but it's not the same, you know? So I like a band that travels around, does that kind of thing. But, so yeah, 311's, but like, when I think about, I don't even think about them as a 90s band, because they kind of transcend for me. I think about Green Day. I think about No Doubt. I think about Spin Doctors. I think about Rage. I think about
you ever think
the Toadies.
You think ska?
Silverchair.
Remember ska?
Oh,
yeah, ska was awesome.
Because ska kind of
Boston's,
exploded.
The Urge. Like, there was like great ska bands.
I'm just gonna throw three words out. Squirrel Nut Zipper.
Yeah, the Squirrel Nut Zipper.
Remember that band?
That one record with Hell on it.
Yeah, that's it.
That was one of the last tapes I ever bought before I started buying CDs.
Oh, you know who just put out a new record? Rancid.
Yeah, Rancid's awesome,
right?
dude. And Out Come the Wolves is like such an awesome
album. Yeah,
record.
that album is awesome.
Yeah, that's with like Time Bomb, Ruby Soho, Roots Radical. Really, really good songs. So there's like a lot of great. That it's just so dense with awesome music.
Well, let's not skip over Faith No More.
Oh, Faith No More, of course. Again, a band that started in the 80s, but really didn't come to prominence until
Yeah,
90, 91.
The real thing was like 89.
89, yeah.
But then Angel Dust was 91.
Which is their best record.
Yeah.
One
of my favorite
It's crazy.
records
You're
all time.
naming a lot of groups and a lot of types of music that I just skipped over completely. Like it just, I think I
'cause
was
you were in
too
the- you
young
liked
at
rap,
that to like
hip-hop.
get that. Well, yeah, but at that point I didn't like rap and hip hop. So
What
to
were you
me,
in? You like
90s
Goo Goo
music
Dolls?
is two very different things: boy bands and then hip hop. But the
See,
hip hop
then-
is mainly me going back in
Yeah.
the 2000s, going back to the 90s. Because
What's the greatest boy band to come out of the 90s?
NSYNC. There's no
I mean, that's the
question.
one that gave us Justin Timberlake, right?
Yeah,
JT. Yeah, he has staying power.
yeah. But yeah, the 90s was the years of the boy band.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they're
the
still
Britney
kind of
Spears and
around,
all
but
that
they're
stuff.
all like
It's
there's-
a different-
we still have,
now
like,
they're
One
foreign
Direction
boy
now. Yeah,
bands.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now they just
Like,
wear a lot
they're-
of scarves.
There's
There's always
A
wearing
lot of
scarves.
scarves?
Like every time I see a picture of a boy band, if it's more than 4 people, 3 of them have scarves. And
Scarves are
they're
a
like,
thing.
they're like flowy. They're not. But they're in LA. Like you don't need a scarf in LA. It's back of your neck's gonna sweat the entire.
I don't
time
think you
you're
can ever
down.
look at a boy band and they don't need anything ever.
Like the guy from NSYNC didn't need the laces in his hair.
Yeah.
What was his name? Chris.
Chris Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, he was a badass.
What about Spice Girls? Were they?
Yes.
Yeah, they were nice.
Yeah, so Spice Girls,
Oh, I loved
NSYNC,
them.
Backstreet Boys,
They had so
Degrees.
O-Town,
When I was a kid.
90 Degrees. Yeah, Nick Lachey.
Yeah, 90 Degrees is like the forgotten. Well, not even because there were really obscure boy bands that had like one hit.
Yeah,
but-
98 Degrees, I'd say they're like
third.
the B tier,
Yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say.
They're
They're
leaders of
not
the
that
B.
low.
Well, what about New Kids on the Block? Is that more 80s?
That's
80s,
That's 80s,
yeah.
but
Go into the
again,
90s?
they existed
Some
in the
crossover
90s. Yeah,
into the
but,
early 90s.
but I would consider them more like 88, 89 when they were
Because then
really
now
prominent.
they're doing the cruises, New Kids on the Backstreet Boys, where it's them and Backstreet Boys doing a
like
joint.
on like a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
They
the
do
new thing
joint
that all
concerts.
these bands are doing. 311 does it, Bare Naked Ladies, like all these random bands are like doing cruises like that are for their fans. They must make a ton of money.
Do you know
Okay,
there's
they
a
do.
there's a Kid Rock cruise every year?
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe
With
it.
just like thousands of rednecks on this cruise ship for a long weekend.
My old hockey coach. Used
How
to-
crazy would that
My old
weekend
hockey
be?
coach used to love Kid Rock.
Who
Like,
did?
God.
My old hockey coach in high school. He was like in his 20s. He's an awesome guy, and like he's just.
My
Used to
name
fucking
is-
love Kid Rock. Like he's like what like I still that's like it's still one of the things I remember most. About
Okay,
him, is I
let's
just loved
stop.
it.
Let's stop for a second.
Okay.
We all loved Kid Rock when he came out.
That first.
I was
that
never
first,
I was never a fan, but
I
don't have
never
anything
bought
against
that stuff, but that first record was pretty good. I knew some people that had that record.
What was he? Was he in another band first, or like how did he become
really
become
remember.
famous? Was he just always just Kid Rock?
The only
No.
thing I remember from
no
about
idea.
him was that he had the little guy in his band
Yeah.
right, that died, and also Uncle Cracker was his DJ, who then
My
spun
God.
off and did his own thing. That's the only thing I remember about Kid Rock, and like a few of his songs. I wasn't really into it, which was weird because he was kind of like rap rock, and I just wasn't really.
You're a big rap rock.
And I just wasn't into it. I wasn't into it.
The 90s was Rage. It was Rage Against the
Oh,
Machine.
Rage was so good, dude. I didn't even know.
That was just like
It's so hard for people to believe. Like I was so into Rage, which is like hyper liberal, like socialist like messages, and I loved it. And I still listen to it today, and I'm like, man, they're so smart. You know, Tom Morello went to Harvard and stuff, so it's like they're smart guys. But I used to wear like Rage shirts with like really provocative messages on them. I remember there was one shirt with like a nuns holding machine guns that I had or whatever. And I was like, what are you wearing?
There's no equivalent today. There's no like hyper political band like Rage Against the Machine.
none that
No.
sell it, you know.
Yeah,
none that like
none that are like
Rage,
being
you
played on Top 40's radio.
Yeah, no, or
listened to
none.
Zach, and he was just like screaming
Yeah.
stuff, and you were like, I believe that this guy believes what he's talking about.
Well, I feel like Lupe Fiasco is like the closest thing to that now. Like he's super.
Is he? I guess I'm not familiar.
Yeah. No, he like, I can't believe he got away with some of the shit he says on the radio and stuff, and like it's popular music, and he just kind of says shit just to like start shit. So it's like fuck that. But I mean, it is super ridiculously political in a way that reminds me of Rage Against the Machine. It's just he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, me and my Ramon.
What am I?
My best friend from college, and I used to joke around that the FBI would always be in the crowd at Rage Against the Machine shows with like a folder, just like writing things down. Like,
Probably.
because they're just like because these guys are like pretty militant, but they were awesome. But yeah, I think I don't know.
You gotta
man.
go a little earlier too. You guys are forgetting like a huge portion of.
So you're talking about like grunge.
Yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
sure,
when you
yeah.
think 90s, you got to think grunge. You got to think Pearl Jam. You got to think Nirvana. You've got to think, I guess, Soundgarden. I guess
So
fits
Soundgarden,
into
who
the
are just
grunge
putting out a
category.
new album soon, I think, and then Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh, STP's
STP.
fucking awesome.
They're really
dude.
good, right?
The Purple and Core
Yeah,
are really
yeah.
good records. I like
Especially
Purple.
Purple,
I like
especially
I like
Purple.
Purple more. A lot of people like Core more, but
Do you like the hidden track, the last hidden
Yeah.
track on Purple? It's so good.
there's a special band. I was so happy I got to see them. That was like one of the
I've
bands
never
where I
seen
didn't
them.
think it was like similar with Faith No More when I got to see them. Like it was a band where I was like I thought I might have missed my chance, and then
Was Faith No More the band? What is
Yeah.
this?
What is it?
What is it? Yeah.
yeah, they're a San Francisco band too, and I saw them at
years
the
ago.
Warfield a couple years ago. Cheryl's not even into them, and I brought her with me, and she was like, "That was amazing," because it was just they open with From Out of Nowhere and just like fucking punch you in the face, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. They're all old. They're like in their late 40s, and they're still like the bassist who like plays all slap and like crazy. He's all bald now, and he's just like headbanging and like going nuts.
Oh god, yeah. And then there was you got the Chili Peppers too.
The Chili Peppers,
yeah.
Excellent.
They started technically in the 80s though, right?
Yeah, Mother's
They're
Milk,
another one of those
Mother's
80s band that kind of made it in.
It was
They're
Blood Sugar
90s
Sex
though.
Magic that blew up.
Yeah, so that was like 91.
Under the Bridge.
Yeah.
God, that was so good, man. That was just like, that just makes me think of Point Break, which makes me think of fucking P. Swayze. Oh, 90s were a good time.
Yeah.
It makes you think of Point Break because they have bit parts in it.
Yeah, Anthony Kiedis is in it.
He blows his foot off.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they did have weird. I mean, and Fleas and Lebowski,
Weird
which is
stuff.
so weird. There's all these like weird.
Is that?
There's
We
all these like.
nihilists.
How does that happen?
They just have good agents that are like, your Chili
Like,
Peppers, you want to go in?
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Your Chili Peppers. You want
It's
it?
just like who? I mean, if you're doing a movie in the '90s and like they're like, "Do you want Anthony Kiedis to be in your movie for like a bit part?" I'm like, sure, why not?
yeah.
That's
It's like there are all
hilarious.
these random movies where Henry Rollins has
Yeah,
a, has a
yeah.
part.
Henry Rollins,
But it's
like,
random. It's like
he was in a lot. He was in like Johnny Mnemonic. You're like, what are you doing, Henry Rollins? He's like, because he's super political.
Yeah.
He would just be like, have one part where he'd talk about how the machines are taking over. It's corporate America, and then he'd like kill someone. You're like, that's cool. Thanks, Henry Rollins.
he's also a terrible neo-Nazi in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, is he?
I haven't gotten through.
I haven't seen that show yet.
I've watched it. Greg loves that show. So I'm thinking about the mid '90s, and what I'm thinking about with the mid '90s is there's some great bands like Presidents of the United States and whatever that came and kind of went. I think the mid '90s is also emblematic of the rise of the band fronted by women. So Luscious Jackson, Garbage. No Doubt, Hole. There's like a ton of bands, and also the singer-songwriters. So like Natalie Cole, Alanis Morissette,
Jewel.
Oh,
like
man.
so. There's like
Jewel.
there's like a lot of good stuff in the mid '90s coming from women.
Tori Amos.
Oh,
Tori Amos,
Big fan
Lisa
of her.
Loeb,
Sheryl Crow.
Sheryl Crow. There's a lot of them.
Destiny's fucking Child.
Oh,
A
come
little
on
later,
now.
right? I mean, they rose in
Yeah.
'96 or so, but what was it, like 98 or 99 was when anyone really gave a fuck.
It was like Bootylicious was out.
Yeah.
Was
yeah, yeah.
TLC?
TLC was a little earlier, so that was like
that
in
90s?
their early mid '90s.
Oh God, man. So good.
Salt and Pepper.
Oh,
that's
Salt and
the
Pepper's the
I mean, yeah. Push It was that's the like mid '80s song.
But Want a Man, I think, was like
Yeah, that was
maybe
it.
early '90s.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they came back.
Let's Talk About Sex. Yeah.
It's just progressive.
And then I agree with like the late '90s. That's when we got into. So there was like a weird thing in the late '90s. You had like really weird shit like Orgy and Marilyn Manson and all that kind of stuff. Then you had
Well, there was a big like electronica
right.
explosion
Right.
in the late '90s with like you mentioned Orgy, but there's also like Fatboy Slim.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Chemical Brothers and
Prodigy.
Yeah, all those guys.
Oh, Prodigy was awesome.
Yeah, Fat of the
man.
Land. Now that was a great record. That was one of the first CDs I ever bought, and that was an awesome.
I'm your fire starter.
Yeah.
Twisted
Remember how
fire
big
starter.
that Moby album was?
Oh,
Yeah,
Moby was.
yeah.
Yeah. Moby still does stuff, right?
Sure, yeah, he's still.
Your movie does a lot of like movie soundtracks and stuff
Yeah.
now.
He's like all the
a
Bourne movies.
businessman.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh, spin that shit. It's good.
Fucking dope.
Good job, Moby.
But yeah, rap, man.
Yeah,
I think
rap.
rap
Wait,
is
take
what it
a-
all comes back to because
Take it one step back for a second. We're going to talk rap in a second. I know you've been itching to talk about this. Just did want to give a shout out to No Doubt. Gwen Stefani back in the day. Still hot.
Yeah.
Unbelievably good looking back in
Yeah,
the
she
90s.
was
Dude, she
awesome.
looks the same today.
does.
she looks like
She
She looks
identical.
exactly the
She's
same.
on The
She's
Voice
in her
now.
40s.
She's the female Keanu Reeves. He
She's in
never
her
ages
40s.
either.
She looks amazing.
Yeah, she's absolutely.
two
she
kids
absolutely
later.
Did you guys see her on the Jimmy Fallon lip sync battle thing?
No, did she do one of those?
Yeah,
I gotta
it was
watch
the
that after
worst.
Was it?
The worst.
See, I don't know that she like has like a sense of humor or much of a personality.
No, I
but
mean
she's
she
just
does.
really
She
good.
does. Like, she's great, but it's just like I think
She's
that
just smoking hot.
she just didn't. She wasn't able to do someone else's thing that well. It was weird. It was really weird. I expected it to
Like
be.
she's not like an
extremely good.
actress. Like the people that do well, those are actors.
Emma Stone. Emma
right?
Stone
Yeah.
is the best.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
far.
And just before we talk about hip hop, because I think we should close on hip hop because it is essential. It really is integral. Just want to give two shout outs real quick to bands that a lot of people don't really think about that I really loved in the 90s. One is Bare Naked Ladies. Before Stunt came out, before 1 week, they were really, really, really awesome. They were a great band. I saw them a bunch of times live with my sister. They were one of the first bands I ever saw live. Albums like Gordon and Born on a Pirate Ship are excellent albums still to this day, and people should go check those out. The other band is Ben Folds 5.
Oh yeah,
Which is essential
they were awesome.
piano rock.
I think that's for you.
If you're not going to eat this apple pie soon, please offer it to your friends tonight. Cheryl made homemade apple pie on Sunday.
Okay, sure. We'll have a slice. Thanks.
So that might have sounded a little weird. So no,
Not for this show.
okay, no, that's true. So Ben Folds 5, awesome too, self-titled album, Whatever Never Amen, and Reinhold Messner, awesome fucking album.
Sadly, I always got them confused with Three Doors Down, which was like.
Three Doors Down's fine too, but different band.
Very similar sound.
Yeah, very.
I was like, who's what? Ben Folds? What? What is he doing? 5 of them?
So that's it. Let's talk about rap.
So
Baby.
I will argue till the day I die that rap is better now than it ever was, if you're looking in the right places. That's the thing. You got to be listening to the right people.
Yeah, this sounds like a very inflammatory
This is
statement. So
incendiary.
please explain yourself.
I'm saying that.
incendiary right now, my friend.
But I will argue that. But if I'm arguing it, I'd be arguing it against people that are saying the early 90s rap is the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're arguing?
No, people would be arguing me saying that.
Okay.
That's second to what's going on now. But what was going on then? We got Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
We got Tupac. We got Biggie. We got Jay-Z. We got Nas. We got Eminem. What? That's
Yeah, you got the whole death row, like...
yeah. We got all
phenomenal.
that stuff too.
You're forgetting a lot too.
No.
De La, The
forgetting
Far
Mr.
Side.
Dre.
You're
You're
forgetting
missing Snoop.
Public Enemy
Yeah.
and Beastie Boys.
But it's like, if you ask anyone who like top 5, they're gonna name at least 3 of those probably in their top 5.
Everyone's going to say Tupac.
That's insane.
I think Tupac was the most influential artist to come out of that period. Because he died. And that's
Oh, it's kind
See,
of
my problem with
we made that
Tupac.
argument before.
The problem with Tupac is I feel like a lot of people are fake fans of Tupac. They say they like him, but they
I
don't
wasn't a
really.
fan. I wasn't
Like,
a fan at all.
It's one of those
Still
things.
not.
It's like, oh, what are your like? Name 3 songs, and they're just like, Changes, Dear Mama, and they just can't. That's. Have you noticed that?
I couldn't name 3 Tupac songs. I could if I heard Tupac songs, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Recognize
I was not a huge
Oh yeah, he's
fan
very
of it.
recognizable.
But I mean, again, I've gone back and said that hip hop was not my thing until later, and there's only select things that I like about hip hop that I'm now gaining exposure to 90s hip hop. Going, oh god, man, I wasted my life back then. When was Eazy-E? Was he
90s.
like? Is
NWA.
he started
So,
in
like,
the 80s?
NWA was
Was that 80s? I wanna say it
late
was 80s, wasn't it?
I count them as 90s though. Like they really did shit in the early 90s.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
'Cause
I
I always
guess
got-
here's
I
what I
always
think.
got
Like
them-
even like to me, 88 on counts as 90s. It's like 88 to 98.
No, that's 80s. I always get NWA and Two Live Crew mixed up for some reason.
No, the reason that I don't count the 90s starting at like 88
Two
or
Live Crew was
89
me
is
so
'cause
horny.
Yeah, I know.
Those were awesome
That's not-
80s years for other reasons. We can do another topic about hair metal one day because I can talk about hair metal all fucking day because it's fucking awesome.
It is awesome.
You want to talk shit about
Dude,
Rat?
Poison,
Don't even.
Motley Crue, or is that too mainstream?
No, that's awesome. I love even like I always say and I always joke around. Enough's Enough is still like one of my favorite hair metal bands because like no one even knows who the fuck they are. They,
Like
one
what
record.
song do they do?
New Thing. You can look that. Enough
I'm
is Enough.
sure I'd recognize
Oh, you
it.
would. It's awesome.
I told you I went on a date one time with a girl. She took me to this concert down in Irvine, in the
Enough's
Verizon
Enough?
Amphitheater. No, it was Poison Rat.
Yeah, my
Poison
brother
Rat.
went on that tour.
it was
like
so
He
ridiculous.
saw him in like Hartford or something. I was like, "This is awesome." He's like, "I'm seeing Rat and Poison."
Yeah,
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
yeah.
Oh my god,
I
I'd lose
think-
my mind if I saw Rat live. I love those guys.
It's pretty amazing.
They're so awesome.
They're old. Sadly.
Now, yeah, 90s hip hop's awesome. I think that
I just haven't heard the argument for why it's better now.
Well, I'm saying if you go to the right places, I'm not saying that mainstream rap
are the
is
right
better.
places?
Actually, that's the other thing though, is I feel like there are a lot of good mainstream artists on the radio now, even compared to back then. Because back then, it's not like we were getting a lot of these people on the radio. You know, like that you still had to like that was all word of mouth shit, and like De La wasn't playing on the radio.
no,
You
by
know
accident
what I
they
mean?
were, but I don't think any. Yeah, I agree with you. Like they had a few tracks on the radio that were pretty big, but no, they maintained through word of mouth and also geographic loyalty. I think because I think that's the same way I liked Biggie when I was a kid over Tupac. I was like, well,
He's East Coast.
he's East Coast. I mean, I'm from the East Coast. I mean, I even identified that when I was like 10 years old. You know, I was like playing with like G.I. Joes, where I've been like, yeah, I'm a Biggie guy.
But for my thing is that I feel like that because of the internet and because of just the fact that tools have gotten easier to use for everybody, the people that grew up on the 90s stuff, which was the good stuff, because before that it wasn't that good. It was just like a bunch of like nursery rhyme bullshit. Majority.
No, I agree with that. I think 80s rap is really important for the genome of rap, but I agree with you. Like I can't go back and listen to a lot of that shit except for the Beastie Boys. Like and some select other things, but most of it is like very
So then I feel like then the 90s kind of like made it a real thing and got like really good in certain places. There was also a lot of really bad 90s rap too. And then the 2000s was just like it went
Gerardo.
to fucking hell. And it was so
Rico.
bad. But then now I feel like
That's
it's the
amazing.
people that learned from the
Suave.
90s, wanted to correct the 2000s, and it's
Snow.
they're allowed to just keep
Snow was
doing their own
informer.
thing, and they don't need it to perform on the radio and stuff because who gives a shit about the radio when they have the internet?
Yeah,
So
sure.
There's some great. I mean, there is some great hip hop today. Like I love Currency. I love Wiz Khalifa. I love like. There's a lot of guys that like I really love like that are awesome. But if I had to choose, we had to go on a desert island or whatever scenario,
Yeah.
and I was like, I can bring 10 albums with me, 10 rap albums. I might bring like 1 or 2 from today. Like I'd probably bring Bun B's trilogy.
I love
I'd
you so
probably
much,
bring.
Colin.
I'd probably bring Currency's The Stone Immaculate. But everything else would probably bring me back to the 90s. You got to bring De La Soul, Balloon Mind State. You got to bring De La Soul. Stakes is High. You got to bring Wu-Tang's 36 Chambers. You got to bring. I mean, there's like there's.
Oh, God,
It's overwhelming.
Wu-Tang,
I would
man.
even, but I love Eminem. Like I'd probably even bring Eminem's first 2 records. I'd bring so it's like. The good news is that it's all good. Like there's and everywhere you are, there's good stuff. I think rock has fallen significantly, much further than I think rap has fallen. I'll give you that.
Yeah. See, my thing with the rap is anybody that's arguing that shit, I'd say listen to any album by the group Cunning Linguist and tell me that isn't leaps and bounds better than that shit.
Yeah, I think the only problem I have is like I don't know. Everything just maybe because it is so easy. It's hard to separate the good from the bad because there's so much more of it now that we're getting inundated by. So I don't disagree that there's probably a lot of good sound out there, but it's hard to get to because
I mean, that's all I'm saying.
So much of it.
Yeah, there is. You need to know
Like
where
back
to get
in the
it.
day,
but-
in the mid '90s, if you were popular, it's because you had hit such a level that no one could touch you, and as long as you kept putting out something good, you were going to stay on top for a while.
But even then, back then you had to have the single. Like Eminem
You had to
couldn't
be on-
do it
you had to
without
have
My
a
Name
video
Is.
on MTV.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's true.
So
The one thing I'll say, and I won't play it for too long, I'll play it for only for a few seconds, is that the one thing, I always tell Cheryl this, like, the one thing that early and mid-90s hip-hop does to me is it makes me very nostalgic. I feel like it sounds, a lot of it, very nostalgic. And I'm not even talking about, like, the gangster rap. I'm talking more about the laid-back, like, kind of De La Soul-ish kind of rap, like the more
well, I think that's
rhythmic rap.
because of the samples. Like the early '90s was so sample heavy, and a lot of it was the record. So you hear the little record.
They were
like,
sampling like
crisps and shit.
like funk and soul stuff from the
Yeah.
70s. So.
But this song specifically does it for me. And I want people to listen to the whole thing, just the beginning of it.
You're gonna get a copyright flag.
Yeah,
on
we'll do it
YouTube.
real quick. Because it's only a few seconds. Oh, yeah, I gotta. Hold on a sec. Wrong volume. Ringer volume. Good. Okay.
Yep.
Just that, like, laid back.
Yeah, it was like you're talking
They
about
don't make
like
them like this anymore.
to
You know,
me
like,
that
They
immediately-
do. They totally do make them like this.
No.
Do you know
The
Run the
Far
Jewels?
Side.
Who?
Run the Jewels?
No.
Check them out.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good topic.
Yes,
I enjoyed that topic very much. I love music. Very
Yeah,
much.
for the longest time, I thought the '90s had sucked. But now that I
Yeah,
look
you
back at
start
everything,
thinking- yeah, you
it's
start
like,
unpacking
no,
it.
the '90s were awesome.
it's
Total
very-
Recall came out in the '90s.
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
Oh.
91. So did T2.
Yeah, T2.
T2 did. So
It's
the
a
second
very
Batman.
eclectic. It's a very eclectic decade. It's a decade that we hold close to our hearts because we all grew up in that decade. But it's also a very formidable decade in terms of everything: movies, music,
Yeah.
books, video games, everything. It's a really special decade. It's not as special as the '80s, but it's special. It's
I
very
think,
special.
yeah, for me, like, coming from cinema, like you're talking about, movies, I think one could argue that get better as you go backward in time. Because now we're sort of like,
What?
we've got amazing films now, but I'm not as excited about some of the stuff that's happening as I was 2 years ago. And then I will never be as excited about a movie as I was when I was like 9. Right? Maybe that's just because I was 9. But in the 80s also,
Yeah.
you were seeing new stuff all the time. Like Jurassic Park blew my mind. I'm like, that is a dinosaur. They got a dinosaur. They grew it up. They fed it, humans, and then they trained it. Steven Spielberg trained a dinosaur to be on camera.
The beauty of Jurassic Park, by the way, and this is a tangent. It's just like that movie still looks fucking awesome.
It looks good.
And it's because they didn't overthink it. It's like all real. You know what I mean? It's not
Clever
like
guy.
it's obviously not a real dinosaur, but it's just like Spielberg and those guys like understood
Yeah.
posterity that like the movie would look better if they didn't fuck around too much.
Yeah,
you know?
when Laura Dern's leaning up on the Triceratops, right? Like it's not CGI.
No, it's a real thing. It's
It's very
practical
cool.
effect.
Very like really wonderful looking movie. So yeah, that was a good topic.
Good topic.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Good topic.
Mhm.